All right, welcome to the first edition of we're calling it the Gun Channels newsletter, and we'll mute Stone Guy there. We're talking about this is going to be the first edition of, all right, I will mute Stone Guy now. So, there we go, starting off professional here. So we're starting off a new podcast. It'll be a weekly thing, ideally. Hopefully I can pass the baton on to others so everybody doesn't have to hear me done 3 podcasts a week, and I don't have to do 3 podcasts a week, but I really want to try this concept out. We've been wanting to do a weekly wrap-up over, like, as gun channels, just with all the stuff going on in guns and creating gun channels to bring all that stuff together. We then have found that a lot of stuff is going by, and we want to do something to archive some of that for a couple of reasons. One, so that we can keep track of it all, just as individuals, and 2, so that we have some documentation so that this trend of the internet and everything becoming very intermittent or very temporary, we'd like to keep some of that stuff permanent, or at least easier to find, archive some of it in a way that's easy to find. So we're going to create a channel over on Gun Channels, where we're going to use the Gun Channels University channel, but we'll have this place on Gun Channels where people can go back and find these weekly shows that we're going to start to create here. We're going to create these weekly shows together once a week, and we'll either be doing it before or after the Edge of the Week podcast, which I guess we're still fighting over how we're going to do that in the schedule, but it'll be on a Friday. Whatever time's good for everybody. Everybody in Gun Channels is welcome to ask for a link. We'll probably keep it to about 5 to 7 people, just so that it stays on task, and so we can keep a couple of empty seats open so that we can rotate those 5 to 7 people depending on what we're talking about. So although this is the first one, let me give you an idea of what we've come up with as a rough draft so far. So we're talking about a weekly wrap-up in respects to the different videos that have come out during the week, either on YouTube or elsewhere, the different podcasts that are going on each week, the different stuff that's happening on things like Instagram and Vine and all the others, quick video and photo places, the blogs that are out there, plus movies, TV, anything else in the news, or I guess I call it the major media that has to do with guns, and then of course politics and the news. So there's lots of stuff to keep up on, and as we hopefully will find some experts, people that pay attention to these various aspects of what's been going on in relation to firearms throughout the week. And if we can get people to kind of work this into their schedules, I'm thinking we can have people like 504 Dirt Dart, who does this excellent 2-minute wrap up each week of what the real people are doing over on YouTube. People that are just shooters like you and I, that like to take a camera with them when they go to the range and share that with either other shooters or people in other countries that can't shoot, people behind enemy lines here in the U.S. that aren't able to shoot as often as they'd like. And there's reposters over on Instagram, places like Concealed Carry Nation, and some of the others that go out and extract all the best pictures each day, and then again we'll get reports from them each week on some of the coolest stuff that's going on. Each of these different types of people out there are going to be having their finger on a different pulse of the firearms community or industry or culture, whatever we're going to call ourselves, and hopefully that's the whole point of Gun Channels, is to help people keep up on all that, and this effort will be a way to track some of that, and the result of this will be the show that you're listening to now, which we'll be hosting over on the Gun Channels YouTube channel. When it's over, we'll take audio of that, or I should say when it's over, it'll become a video, so it'll always be on the Gun Channels channel. We'll take the audio of that and turn it into a podcast, so that'll be available on like iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And then we're also going to add something extra to this one, where we're going to hook it up to our newsletter. So this will also be where we create our weekly newsletter for Gun Channels. And I don't know if people are familiar with newsletters or a lot. Sometimes they're really neat. Sometimes they're annoying sales ads. Well, we're not selling anything on Gun Channel, so that kind of stuff will be to a minimum. I imagine we will leave some real estate on the newsletter for people that want to sponsor Gun Channels, or people that are part of Gun Channels and have something to offer. But really the main gist of it will be to, again, monitor what's going on each week so that the newsletter doesn't get huge, right? If we did it once a month, it would be massive, and we'd have to leave things out. So if we do it once a week, it's periodic enough that it's manageable, and we'll be able to keep track of anything important that happens so it doesn't get lost in the noise. So I don't know, it feels like I've been talking for an hour here. I want to thank the people that showed up to listen to this first one, since it didn't get promoted very much at all. Thanks for finding it and listening live, and thanks, of course, to the people that showed up to participate in this first one. There are some other links out there, so check your emails and your private message box. If you're on Gun Channels and you'd like to participate, feel free to drop a request either in a private message window to one of us or on the chat. So without further ado, I'll go from my left to my right. We've got Edge. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
You bet. So now you do a chat on Fridays, Edge of the Week, and I guess we're going to figure out if you'll go first or I'll go first, but basically what kind of stuff do you guys talk about in your chat?
Try to come with different topics with concealed carry, just general gun-oriented topics, and just discuss them, have an open conversation about it, and just get it out to the gun community, the people in Gun Channels, and the people watching these videos, and get the information out there that hopefully people can appreciate.
Whoops, I guess when I'm the host, I can't keep typing like that. So Marco just jumped in to our left. I don't know how much of that you heard, but I think I told you what we're doing here. Doing a weekly wrap-up. You'll be helping with the Instagram part of it. Say hey, and Mark, keep introducing everybody.
Yellow.
That'll take us to Foos. Thanks for cutting off that lobby you had going earlier to jump in and join us on this one.
Yeah, not a problem. I do we're trying to do about twice a month a Reloaders podcast here on Gun Channels, and I'm going to see if there will be an interest in a shooting sports chat as well, just going through all of them, not just one specific. But we're going to try to get something going for that.
Right on. We haven't been able to talk in a while, but we've got a pretty interesting dynamic on Gun Channel, so I'm going to take a second while I'm introducing everybody here and just mention that since you brought it up. First off, we just started a schedule again. We'll talk about that a little bit here in a second, but we started a new schedule, and I just put the reloading chat on the schedule, so it's going to be on the schedule every week. I'm thinking, though, we'll run it, unless somebody wants to take it and run it full-time, we can run it like they run Young Guns, or like the guys over on YouTube run the Green Tavern chat, where we'll have a couple of hosts, and either you'll co-host if everybody shows up, or whoever happens to be there can just host it that night. But then that way the room's always there every Saturday night, and if it gets so popular that we need to do it more often, or do one on pistol reloading, one on rifle or something, that'd be great. But at least till then, that way people can not have to figure out which alternating week it is. You know what I mean?
Right. That sounds cool.
And I'm thinking, if that's cool with you, let's do the same thing with the shooting sports one, because Stone, we're about to introduce him. He's been talking about doing with us for a long time too, and I understand one of the problems we've got, all of us, is that you only got so much time in a week, and to set yourself up to do a permanent show, even if it's just once a week, is hard enough. But a couple of times a week, doing more than one thing is even more difficult to whittle away time for every week. So I'm thinking with a couple of hosts, we can facilitate that and keep a consistent show going. And like you say, we can do IDPA one week, IPSC the next week, Steel the next week, SAS or something. Who knows? There's a lot of stuff to cover, obviously.
Oh, hang on. We cannot talk about IDPA.
Oh, shit. So, on that note, we'll be ending the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll keep going with the introductions then. So, Dano, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the invite.
Yep. And then we got Moon. Thanks for joining us.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
And then Stone just jumped in there. Are you doing here?
Yep. Yeah, it's Stone Guy 223. Appreciate everybody tuning in.
All right, so I was going to do this in about an hour, but then Edge was going to put his off, and then I didn't want to put mine off till after that because of a bunch of people that are here, so they couldn't get here later. So thanks everybody for jumping in. You guys, let's just start with Instagram, because you guys, I'm sure, have plenty to talk about. And what I was going to say is I don't really have this outline of the show down. I'd like to work on that a little bit. So why don't you guys take it away with Instagram for a little bit, and then I'll work on the structure a little bit of the rest of the show here as you guys are going.
All right. Well, I guess I'll let Marco or Digital Profits. Do you have a different name for Instagram?
Well, I mean, I have my own personal, but I run the Gun Channels one for
right. Yeah, and that's what I was going to introduce. So I didn't know if you had a different name you wanted people to know, but Digital Profits runs our Instagram page for gun channels, and he does a phenomenal job at reposting and just staying up to date and getting information out there. So as far as the last week, I guess is kind of what we're the
Well, I was going to kind of
premise of this
start.
show.
I was going to kind of, I mean, just to recap what Instagram, at least what our Instagram account has been going through, I'd say, like, I'm going to start from the second of the month because that's honestly the first topic that I wanted to talk about. I want to say this second of the month was the first, I want to say, decent influx of Every Second Matters patches that we saw get posted. That was pretty cool. I am going to try to pay a little bit more attention because obviously I usually run about a day behind on my Instagram repostings, so I kind of want to be on top for this second coming up so I can make sure I get those out the day they come out, because I found myself reposting those a lot on the 3rd. Repost of the week actually came on the 3rd, so I guess that's within a week. I'm going to give it to Ballistic Expansion with the wet Glock. That's probably the most, probably his best picture he's posted so far. I don't know why, but today there were a bunch of Rugers posted. I saw like 5 Rugers get posted back to back. I don't know if today was Ruger Day or something, but that was pretty cool. Shout out to Tactical Layla, even though she never talks to us.
So
Is it Layla? Isn't it Layla?
I think it's
Lola.
Tactical
Lola.
No, it's
Lola.
Wait, no,
That's
Tactic
true.
Girl Lola or
Tactical Kayla.
yeah, we're talking about the is she a police lady? I don't know what to call her. She's a cop.
Yeah, she's a police woman. I'm thinking it's in California. I don't know, but she's a sweetheart. Always. She's one of our first hashtag users, which is really cool, and she's doing really good.
I'll have to follow her. I didn't because I got Tactic.
Tactic Girl Lola is the AK
Yeah.
pick, and she's got a link to this chat. I just don't ever know when she's available, when she works or what, but we're talking about Kayla. Or
Yeah,
how are you seeing
Kayla.
it? Kala?
Tactical. I was calling it Tactical Layla at first, but it's Tactical Kayla.
Put it in
Okay.
put a link in the side chat if you don't mind, please.
I just added you.
Okay, cool. Another one that I wanted to point out, which I just I think actually G-Webs made me aware of it, was this Weapons Reloaded. Is a really, really cool reposting site, and they've got a lot of neat stuff on theirs.
Concealed Carry Nation. He does a really good job reposting as well.
Absolutely.
What I am going to say is
I know this is the first one, but we're not going to do every week just say a bunch of names. So the idea is to wrap up what happened this week. I like Marco. Thanks for saying like Ballistic wins the week for his like staged water gun thing. I don't know why he wins, but at least that's something that happened.
I thought I won this week. Marco, were you lying to me?
no, you got honorable mention, but
What photo was not staged?
Ours are natural. Ours are just our guns enacting international habitat, and we take action photos of them.
well, what's really
Set
cool
'em
is
up.
like
Fake photos.
like what's really cool is what I've noticed since we've crossed 5,000. There are a bunch of people that don't participate on gun channels, but just the hashtag itself is getting out there. I see people that don't even post that many pictures or that barely post gun pictures, and they're actually using our hashtag, which is the coolest part. Probably our most used poster that I repost is probably going to be P226 Nut. He used to be in the chat room. I don't see him on here as much anymore. I've yet to see him, but P226 Nut is someone who I repost a lot. What else can I say about this week? But yeah, there were a bunch of Ruger pictures, I think, within the last 2 days.
Right. Well, part of the thing about gun channels isn't just to do stuff and then brag about it. It's to do stuff and collaborate and talk about how we did it and that kind of stuff. So let's talk about that facet of it. Something that I try to do whenever I'll post like a Smith pick or a Smith & Wesson picture or a Ruger or a Glock or whatever is tag the manufacturer. I'll also try to tag if there's a cool reposter. So like Smith & Wesson Fanatics, they're super cool, and like the Glock, there's a couple of Glock ones. I'm trying to think what it looks like a sign, I think, right now, like a street sign or something, is the Glock one I usually repost or I tag. So in other words, as I tag a photograph, if it's of a specific gun and it's like an obvious, like my Ruger LCR 357 or whatever, I'll tag Ruger, I'll tag the Ruger fan page, and then that could potentially be a way that people start to see those. Because in other words, if you tag, if you're the person who's taking your picture and posting it up there, you tag Ruger and gun channels, and then 6 weeks later somebody's just digging through the Ruger tags and they see that picture and they like it for whatever reason, they have the same eye or whatever as you and they like your picture, then that's how they see gun channels, and now that's a Ruger person coming over, and now they start tagging gun thchannels, and maybe they've got, they're a Ruger person, they're taking more pictures of Ruger. So maybe that's a way, or maybe that's one of the factors to why we're seeing more this week. Maybe that's just a bunch of Ruger people saw them.
Probably my favorite picture that I reposted.
I'm pretty sure it's not from Moon, because he never posted Ruger pictures.
Never.
I have one way back in the day. A couple.
That was from your LCRX, right?
LCRX, SR22, Ruger 1022.
All right, well, obviously, since I'm the one reposting all these, I kind of see them all and wade through them. But my favorite picture, I think he had 2 pictures of his kids shooting today, was actually from Painkillers, spelled AZ at the end, Painkillers. But he took his daughter out shooting, and she looks like she's having the time of her life. And honestly, other than seeing a new shooter out there, my favorite thing about people shooting guns is taking their kids out. I think that's awesome. So that was probably my favorite picture. That ended up with 101 likes. I reposted it early in my feed and during the day, so it's probably one of the reasons why I didn't do so well. But probably our most liked picture, or one that did probably the best, I'm not sure if it's the most liked because I haven't clicked on all of these, was from P226nut. He has it looks like a Beretta. I can't tell if it's what model Beretta it is, but it has a suppressor screwed onto it, and it's laying right next to a ski mask. So that one ended up with 236 likes. That was probably one of the coolest pictures out there too. I posted that at the end of the night.
It's a silencer can on it, isn't it?
I can't tell. I mean, it like the edges are rounded out towards the top and towards the bottom. There are no markings on it that I can tell. Let me see what he wrote on here. Love a new job on Boondock Saints, Beretta 92. So it's an M9 or he has 92FS hashtagged in it, or M9. I don't see a brand of suppressor.
All right, so this is the first one. It's not going to be an Instagram show, though, so we're going to keep going. I appreciate you taking it while I was trying to get my notes together here. So we're kind of going out of order this time, but I threw the kind of the notes into the Gun Channels chat so people can see at least the concept here of what we want to try to do in an hour, 90 minutes or so, and then I threw it in the internal here so you guys can see it. So I'm thinking, if we're going to be doing this weekly, then just no one has to do it unless you want to do it. But let's keep in mind, as we're going through the week, since we know we're going to be addressing stuff every Friday. Oh, this is definitely the best one this week, or like this is the best this week, or if something comes up. Again, if we've got this thing timed a little bit better, maybe we could talk about getting the reposts and that kind of stuff, because that was kind of neat getting reposted a couple of times this week. I know Moon's been getting hit up too, so maybe we'll need to talk way more about Instagram and do a whole nother Gun Channels University about it, which I'm totally down for. I know that Concealed Carry Nation couldn't join on tonight because he's doing his NRA training, but his NRA instructor training. But I know he's got some news coming up that's gonna rock the Instagram world, which is kind of interesting stuff, and the kind of stuff that I wanted to build Gun Channels to bring out to people. So like kind of not behind the scenes so much, it's just the nuts and bolts stuff, so that we're not wasting our time. Everybody's only got X amount of time in a day, right? So if we're talking about Facebook, or we're talking about YouTube, or we're talking about Instagram, this is hopefully going to help to create a place where people can get together and talk strategy and talk nuts and bolts and not waste their time ineffectively. Okay, so let's consider this the social media part of my little agenda here. Anything else happen on the Facebook or the YouTube? I'm hopefully going to get, like I said, Dirt Tart in here to join us on these if this works for him. Because I'd really like to be able to use his weekly wrap-up video. So if you're listening to this, or you listen to this in the future, and you're not familiar with it, it's 504 Dirt Dart, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
That's it.
And he does like a weekly wrap up on Fridays, and it's awesome, and it's worth subscribing to his channel just for that. And then he does other stuff, I'm sure, too. But hopefully he'll jump in and join us on these shows so that we could just play it, because I'm not about to do that without his okay. But I think that is really about the best thing going, as far as I'm aware of, for somebody monitoring YouTube. Do you guys have other strategies for what you're going to watch in your subscription list, or how to pick, what you're going to watch? Or did anything come up this week?
On YouTube side?
YouTube, Facebook, whatever. I guess we're talking about social medias at this point.
Yeah, I mean, on my, of course, obviously anybody that has subscribers, or people that they're subscribed to, I should say, that'll show up in your feed. And I'm still not sure how they actually decide what shows, because I'm subscribed to a lot of people, and some show and some don't. But anyway, I think some of the most important things that I saw, one being from James Yeager. He's in the process of interviewing a guy that's got a pretty serious story going on. He's a former Marine that's having an issue with his city council or city ordinance. They're basically trying to condemn his trailer and make this guy homeless. It's a pretty disturbing story, so check that out. It's something I think we all could get behind and definitely learn from, as far as a grassroots kind of movement.
Yeah, and basically it's not only because he has a trailer, but he's also living off the grid in his own way, on his own land, and the city is up in a hustle about it.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk an hour just on that. So just go check it out. Go watch James Yeager's video. And the guys, it's the Tyler Truitt story. So I think that's a.
Let's not just send people out to get it, though. Part of the point here is to make a resource, because we're going to be, like I say, creating the newsletter for Gun Channels, a weekly newsletter here. So please include a link, and then that way we can just point people to the newsletter. It'll be a free one. You can just sign up, whatever, or it's just
okay, cool. Or whatever. I'll pop a link in there then. Awesome. And then another one before I
keep going.
The floor is the Tibodorus Rex. I don't know if I'm saying that right. He did a cool review on the best pistol for $400. It's a Grand Power P1 MK7. For those of you that don't know Tibodorus Rex, he's renowned for doing sniper educational videos. He's a super intelligent guy. Does some really good sniper long-range precision shooting videos. But this video this week was about this this Grand Power PK or P1 MK7. It's a new pistol I'd never heard of, but he did a pretty thorough review, and it looks kind of cool.
I've also never heard of it. Could you just give what I'll call a very quick and slim summary review?
I mean, it's basically just it's a polymer striker fire pistol. It's manufactured in Slovakia. Does it
have a rotating barrel?
It does. It says that rotating barrel. Yeah, yes, it does have a rotating barrel, similar to the PX4 Storm. So I'll pop the link right here for you guys, and then we'll post it out in the gun channels as well. But it's neat to see different, not only different manufacturers, but manufacturers other than Glock or M&P or the normal guys. This is a company in Slovakia that I've never heard of before. So looks cool. And I think that's another neat one to check out for something interesting.
Right, and then be sure to include the link to Jaeger one too you were mentioning. But you brought up something cool too, that part of this is to help people focus, or at least create a focused point so that people can grab stuff for topics for other shows. Like you said, you could talk an hour about that video. Well, somebody wants to do a show. We did post a schedule. I guess we'll talk about that in a minute, I guess. But you know, if you see a spot where nobody's doing a show, or you see a spot when somebody's doing a show and you still want to do a show, do it. We'll post we can post many shows at the same time over there. So the idea is that if you want to talk for an hour or something on one of these topics, please do, and let people know.
So the cool thing that I came across on YouTube this week, I mean, it kind of seems like like we're all watching Jaeger, but was actual. I think Jaeger came out with this video today or yesterday or the other day where he was talking about U.S. Bank no longer working with firearms manufacturers or accessory manufacturers of firearms. So that to me was probably the most interesting video, because we could try to fight laws all we can, but these large banks could shut down the gun industry just at a whim.
Yeah. And Marco, why don't you go ahead, for those that may not understand why, you want to go ahead and explain a little bit of that?
Such as?
Basically, they're shutting it down because of the type of business these guys are in and the volatility of it. Is what they said.
They're a private entity, even though they're regulated by the federal government, that have the right to do business with whoever they so choose. So if these entities choose not to do business with firearm or firearm-related companies, they can stop at a whim, and there is no legislation, at least right now, that would force them. I mean, if and the great thing and the coolest analogy that I heard from, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said, what's the difference in between someone not someone being forced to sell or someone being fined to sell them a gay wedding cake, but yet it's okay for this to happen. So
you'd rather live in a country where banks are told who to do business with?
You cannot deny someone to do business with based on their constitutional right, regardless of your personal feelings, I believe.
Definitely sounds like an interesting topic for further discussion.
Mm-hmm. But I'm just bringing it up as a general. I think that's something that, at least people should realize that, what I'm saying, like, as much as we try to fight legislation, there are private entities that could literally stop gun sales, gun transactions.
If a gun manufacturer relies on a short-term loan from the bank to buy raw steel to make their products, and that bank won't give them a 30-day loan, that impacts their business, which impacts our ability to get variation out there in the market.
Absolutely.
So that's why a bank has an impact on the gun companies, which then has an impact on the choices we have or don't have.
Yep.
All right, we'll keep going unless somebody's got another YouTube one. It looks like Foos, you've got one from a blog.
Yeah, Truth About Guns saying that CZ now announces the Scorpion folding stock in 922R compliance kit and has prices on them. So So go ahead.
They actually announced it on their Facebook, and it's going to be $200. It comes with the stock, trigger, sear, floor plates, followers, and I forget something else to make it all 922R compliant supposedly, but that's the price, $200.
So that's not bad.
No. Considering the people that were buying the airsoft version for like $500 off Gunbroker.
Or the SIG brace conversion or whatever to keep it a pistol, that's still, $150. So, yeah, that's a pretty good price.
So keeping in mind this is the first week of this, if you guys have any other social media stuff that's worth addressing, feel free to jump in with it, or please include it in the internal link here, or anybody that's listening live, throw it in the links, wherever you're watching, hopefully on Gun Channels. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll monitor that too. But again, to keep in the idea of trying to keep this an hour or so, let's keep moving. So we don't have a good member count over on Gun Channels. We get that question every once in a while. How many members do we have? We're about 2 years and going on 3 years now, and we had it run in two different ways for the longest time. We were charging $1 a month, and we changed that earlier this year, right at the beginning of the year. And because of that, there was a lot of dead accounts or accounts that are just there and no longer active. And honestly, you just haven't had the time to go in and try to verify which ones are old accounts or which one are, slough off all the old accounts or whatever. So I don't have a great number, but going forward, what we'll try to do is keep people appraised of what the member count is like, and then any new members of note or any kind of trends or anything that we'll mention in this format as well. Again, if you guys notice somebody that jumps on, or if you want to acknowledge somebody that did something cool or whatever, feel free to mention that. Or if you're just listening and you want to participate, drop links in. That's the whole point of this, is to gather as much as we can each week. Keep along that same line. Let's talk about the channel. So when somebody joins Gun Channels, they join as a member, but then you can create a channel if you'd like. We're in the Gun Channels University channel now. Those of us that run our own podcasts or live shows probably have at least 1 or 2 channels that we're doing that from. But if someone just wants to get together and talk about like firearms laws from a state or some shared interest, you can feel free to create a channel for that, and either open the channel for everyone or make it a closed channel for a private group. And as these new channels are added each week, we'll try to monitor that as well and keep people abreast any new channels that come in or interesting channels that do something throughout the week. So with that in mind, is there any new channels that you guys noticed or new members? Yeah, I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot, so we'll just keep going. But that's the kind of stuff we'll try to keep aware of, so that as we meet up like this each week, we can, again, let people know when somebody jumps in. I should mention 904 Outdoors from Florida has joined as a featured channel, so they're now our newest featured channel. I don't know if that was this week or last week, but we'll try to give thanks to people that are, or acknowledge the fact that people are supporting Gun Channels. We do appreciate that. So now let's head to news. What kind of news events happened this week? I know that there's a lot of stuff that goes on. We chat a lot about stuff, but again, the point of this is to archive some of it. So just trying to think of this last week, what kind of news stuff should we include?
Well, I heard that another state went to constitutional carry.
Awesome,
So,
I love that.
so
Maybe
that
we
I'll-
should break this up a little bit into because we should monitor that. It was Maine that went to constitutional carry, is that right?
I think so. I knew it was one of the northeastern states. So
Wasn't there a state that just that some governor turned it down? There were like 3 states that went, and like 1 or 2 got turned down.
New Hampshire.
It was New Hampshire, right? Yeah.
Which is odd because New Hampshire has pretty good gun laws. Pretty pro-gun state.
Well, the governor had said that if they ever brought that to her, they passed it, that she would veto it, and she followed through.
She's a Democrat, and she had pre-announced, I think back in April she had announced it, where if legislation hit her desk, she would turn it down. But I think it passed. It passed with like 65%, so I'm not sure how New Hampshire state legislators set up, but it seems like they probably either have or are pretty damn close to the amount of votes necessary to, if their state allows for their Senate to veto the governor's rejection of the bill. They're either there or they're pretty damn close to being able to veto it. I think it was like 210 to 150. So if they have that's 360 members in their Congress or their state Senate House or whatever, they're pretty close to being able to veto it.
Yeah, she said that she was very comfortable with the current laws have in place that restrict people who shouldn't have firearms, and so on and so on. Paraphrasing that shit, but it's like, whoever the restrictions we have are doing well, and we should keep them in place.
And it's funny because they're the biggest supporter of that, from what I read in the article, was the state police. Was probably the biggest one that came out and said, oh no, we should keep the laws that we have, so therefore we can regulate it better. But in reality, that's just another form of revenue for them. So they're probably just scared of losing their, probably a couple $1 million a year that they make off of the thing.
that on top of even the police, there's some police that are like, you hear stories. I've heard of friends tell me, they get pulled over, they get their CHL and they pull it out and they're like, hey, okay, you're a good guy, go on your way to get out of the ticket. And other people freak out. And that's kind of off topic from constitutional carry, but in general, so people just fear it.
I think it's just something the police have to start getting used to in those states, is that anybody that's legal could be carrying a firearm.
And just for clarification, the states out there that have constitutional carry, in addition to Maine, are Alaska, Arizona, Kansas, Vermont, and Wyoming.
So what's that, like 8 or 9 total? Because you kind of glitched out there for like at least for me, Dan, you kind of glitched out. So what's that, 8 or 9?
8 or 9 what?
Total states that are constitutional?
It's the 6th.
Alaska, Arizona, Kansas, Vermont, Wyoming, and now Maine. 4, 5, 6.
You don't mind, I want to talk about the situation.
Sorry. If you think about it, it's 5% there.
If you don't mind, I want to bring up this topic that's local to Texas. It's a restaurant that is basically the CEO of the restaurant saying that it's a family-oriented restaurant, Whataburger, here in the South Texas area. I think Arizona also has them too. That the CEO just made a statement saying that even though regardless of the passing of the open carry law, he's not going to allow people to open carry into restaurants, and he doesn't want them because of the family-oriented, Christian-oriented, so on, and this and that environment that he wants to host. He doesn't want people be afraid of going to restaurants and being afraid of open carry weapons unless they're law enforcement. Well, one of the crazy things about this is that the only way you can do that is by putting up that 30-06 sign in the state of Texas, which I think is a federal sign, and to actually restrict people from carrying. And you can't, and then by putting that sign up, there's no open carry, concealed carry. You're going to restrict everybody. And I think he understands the law, obviously, or the way they're formed, or the concealed carry deal. So if you're saying you don't mind people from carrying in your restaurant, which is, I love that restaurant personally. It's a really good burger place. The thing is that you can't divvy up who can carry you, because if you put up that 30-06 sign, everybody's restricted from carrying on your property within the eyes of the law. Now you're not going to go to jail for it; you just be asked to leave. But there's no open carry, concealed carry sign. It's just one sign. It says 30-06. That this establishment does not want firearms on the premises, even if you're a concealed carrier. And it's very interesting, and it's very bold of him to do it without any provocation, outside of being trendy to the public, media, persuasion.
All right, so going on from news, let's see, I'm kind of doing these out of order here. The live stuff, what kind of live stuff happened? This is not the end of the week, but I guess we'll have to just go from last Saturday, I guess, or something. What kind of live events did we have this week?
Well, the big one that stuck out in my head was the one that happened last night on Stone Guy. The Killing Chat. That was a good one. Did you get any kind of reactions or any comments on that, Stone Guy, since it's been posted?
Yeah, absolutely. All the commentary that I got was very positive. Everybody that commented said it was a great chat, good information, very level-headed approach. So overall, it was very positive. Reaction, or yeah.
I thought it was a great topic, and I guess there's also something to talk about it, because when you started it, I forget exactly what happened, but we figured it out, right? And it didn't go live to everyone. So I guess when you started it, it must have been selected to private,
Right. I don't know how that happened. It was just a fluke. I've never had that happen before, so.
But it's worth addressing just so that when people do want to run a live show as you're setting it up, it's worth just taking a check before you hit the live button, because like that one, it was, I guess, like say we figured out it must have been sent as private. So even though it went live and it turned into a video at the end, which was fine, during the show, the viewer count was basically just the people over on gun channels and not all the people that would normally be alerted when Stone Guy runs a live show.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
But,
we've had a couple of questions about how to start up live shows. I'm thinking that it'll probably be worth doing. And if somebody wants to take the ball on it and run that show, please feel free to do so. But sooner than later, we ought to do some sort of a project where we basically do screen capture or something and talk about the various methods, because there are more than one way to start a live hangout like we're in right now. And because there's people that I'm sure would be interested in trying to do one of these if they knew how, and we've all been doing it for quite a while. We should be able to explain how to do this to everybody, you know, with our eyes closed, really.
Yeah, and with that, and you know, if you do get a Hangouts going and you want to post it to gun channels, post it there in the lobby. Someone will, you know, post it wherever you want it. You know, if you want it in the lobby, if you want it in your own channel, let us know. We could get it posted, and we could get you an admin and get you squared away to do it yourself.
Because I start them from Google Plus, and I know a lot of people start them from YouTube, and I have no idea how to do it from YouTube, so I have to learn that.
I start from Google Plus as well.
And sorry for the lag. I'm trying to get my mic or my mute to work here. I'm not used to. I've forgotten how to work a headset or something. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what news is going on. I think we were just talking about live. Is there anything else live this week?
I was looking for the Yankees chat live this week, but that didn't happen. So hopefully he'll do a back-to-backer these upcoming 2 weeks, but I doubt it.
Oh no, he does it every other week. That's the whole point. He only does it every other week. He's not every week. He's
totally bi.
Yep. Yeah, I think that he made that apparently clear. So anybody, like I say, we're going forward, so we're not trying to put him on the spot here, and I'm trying to keep it going, so we'll just keep going. But that's the whole concept, is we'll get together each week like this, and we'll talk about. So if you want to just, you know, make a mental note as we're going through the weeks, you know, oh, let's mention that, you know, for the newsletter or whatever. So did socials. Every second matters isn't the second this week, and it wasn't last week, so I guess we'll just maybe think about doing something on the 15th just to keep it on top of everybody's mind. Hopefully we'll get every second matters a little bit tighter. Even though it's a fairly loosely knit thing, we can still probably do a little bit more, I think, just getting a little bit more organized. As you guys were mentioning earlier, we should have a tally on which states have constitutional carry. Right, that's not hard, so that's something we can easily task ourselves with, you know, to keep updated once a month. Do some stuff like that, just so we make Every Second Matters a better resource for people. Oh, I guess I should mention we got the glow-in-the-dark patches, though, last month or whatever, so those are available anytime anybody wants one now. So then we get to...
There are some excellent Instagram pictures of that patch.
Yep, Daniel actually had the first, but he also probably had the worst one with his blurry-ass camera, but he did have the first one. And that was cool, because it was actually
to take pictures of glow-in-the-dark, because you've got limited light, usually.
Yeah. No, but Daniel definitely had the first. It was cool. Like I started seeing those get posted. I want to say like around the 1st or the 30th. So I think I got mine on the 2nd, but I didn't get home like till super late. So, but those were cool because those were actually getting posted right around the Second Amendment too. So that was really cool.
I still need to order mine, but I will. I promise.
Then we get to events. What kind of events do we got happening? Sounds like Edge won some sort of a gun at some sort of an event that's coming up.
Yeah, I was fortunate. I don't win shit but fraternity suits for the most part, but I was able to win Henry repeating rifle and 22 caliber rifle off a Facebook contest. just wanted you to spread the word on this the Texas Firearms Festival coming up, and I was fortunate enough to win, so it's pretty cool. Hopefully, get the rifle soon.
I heard an
You haven't picked
unprecedented.
it up?
No, they'll send it to me. FFL. You got to pay the FFL fees, but they'll send it to you.
I heard in an unprecedented act of generosity, you're going to offer that to give it away to someone on Gun Channels.
You heard wrong, my friend.
Well, that's pretty awesome. What would you get, a lever action?
Yeah, it's a lever action, Henry, 22. I mean, I'm still waiting. I contacted the guy. They're like, hey, send me your info. And I'm like, well, we did. And there's somebody one on Instagram, too. They were giving away 2 of them. And the other guy on Instagram's like, I don't know. I would hope so. He pictures the golden boy and the blue version. But we'll see. I'm probably going to end up...
Whatever one you get, you're going to love it, because the action is smooth as hell on those Henry 22.
It is buttery smooth, and that golden boy looks just beautiful.
It is. I mean, I was surprised, I don't have much luck, and that was the first thing, I'm like, wow. But, it is what it is.
Well, that's awesome, and that was for the Texas Firearms Festival in November.
Yeah, in November there'll be that shoot in Liberty, Texas, at the Best of West Gun Range outside of Austin. It's the 2nd annual Texas Firearm Festival. So if you're in the Texas area or surrounding area, definitely need to make it. It'd be really cool. I'd love to meet a lot of YouTubers that I talk to in person, and just shoot the breeze.
So what other events kind of stuff happened this week? I know that yesterday was the 2nd anniversary of concealed carry in Illinois. Dano didn't seem very impressed or appreciative of that, so I made a note of it on the Instagram. Ruger, the anniversary of Ruger's death was on Monday. Yeah, the 9th was the 9th of July, 2nd year anniversary.
They did not accept applications until the 5th of January. That is until they accept applications, there's nothing to celebrate.
I see. Splitting hairs. This is when it actually passed, though. That was this week. And then we had the 7th, Tuesday the 7th was the, unfortunately, the anniversary of the semi-automatic rifle import ban from 1989. So I'll try to keep people up to date on those things. I find those things interesting. PBR has a site that you guys in the Gun Channel's lobby chat were talking about earlier, like this day in World War II. I'm hoping that we'll get somebody in to do something for this part of the chat or this part of the newsletter or whatever, where we talk about what happened this week, because we all know that those who forget history are doomed to repeat it. Plus, half the fun of firearms is the history and the relationship to how they fit in the puzzle of what created the world that we live in today. So one of the things, again, is the Gun Channels is to focus on all this. So I'm hoping that we'll get people in to talk about maybe what happened interesting in military, what happened interesting in innovation, what happened interesting in politics. Again, so we're aware of it, and when we have these conversations with people, like we try to encourage for Every Second Matters, it doesn't always have to be about, somebody who's not interested in firearms is not going to care about 9mm or 40 debate. They're not going to care about if it's a clip or a magazine, right? But they might be interested that, this little machine was invented today, or that guy was responsible for this and that, or who knows what kind of interesting facts we'll discover. So anyway, we'll try to slice a time out of this discussion to deal with those. So again, going forward, if you guys see something in the Firearms Almanac or hear something on the radio, make a note of it, and we'll include it in this section of the whatever we're calling this, the newsletter. And I think that's about it. I put Store on here just to talk about whatever, like say if we get some sponsors for this, for Gun Channels in general, we'll try to feature some of the things that they offer. For now, I'll just take a second to mention some of the people that sponsor or not, that support Gun Channels now. We've seen the patch places, Demerit Wear and Bomber Patches. They both have given us all kinds of free patches, which I guess we might as well do here. Stone, you around? Do you want to do a patch giveaway while we're chatting? And
absolutely.
I just recently brought on Zona Holsters, who's a good guy here in Tucson. He's does spittoons, or basically plastic, spit jugs for people that chew, as well as some Kydex, custom Kydex stuff for, let's just say we're larger framed individuals with lots of tactical padding, and because of that, he built holsters that are for the full-figured tactical operator, and he'd make some for regular people too, or lesser abled people. And anyway, he's a good guy, and I wanted to keep it, the spirit of the capitalist side of Gun Channels alive. So we brought him on board as one of the sponsors too. So check him out. There's a link over on the left side of the main channel for all of the people that help sponsor, support Gun Channels. And like I say, going forward, we'll try to keep a slice out of the newsletter for that aspect of it as well. Anything you guys want to bring up from people that you've seen, it doesn't all have to be stuff that I've noticed. If you guys have noticed something happening on Gun Channels or somebody offering something, let's make sure to, pay attention to it.
Well, as far as events, I mean, one of the biggest gun show that actually happens, I want to say about 8 times a year. It's going down this January 24th coming up. So any of the guys, I know it's kind of a far drive from Delaware, West Virginia, but I mean, it's really big. It's like 3 miles of tables. It's going down at the Dulles Expo Center off the Dulles Toll Road. If you head towards the Dulles Airport, you can go there. And they host it about 8 times a year, and it's labeled as the biggest gun show on the East Coast. So if you're looking for anything, it's probably there.
And the patch giveaway tonight is going to Garand, Garand, Garand Man, out here on the Gun Channel side. So go to Gun Channels /DPG, fill out the paperwork, or not really paperwork, but fill out the form with your shipping.
But just be sure to type, because you're going through 3 copies.
That's hard and capitalized like Stone Guy does.
Absolutely. So, Grand, you win the patch, brother. Appreciate you supporting the channel, commenting, and participating.
Oh, I also want to give a quick shout out since we're kind of like the vendors portion. If you guys were a member of Gun Channels, you guys remember that I gave out, for my Secret Santa a money clip / tie clip, which was either shaped in an AR or in an AK-47. So I want to give a shout out to Hollow South, HOLLOWSOUTH. He's on Instagram. You can also just Google it and you'll go to his webpage. I want to say they're like 12 or 15 bucks, maybe as high as 18 bucks a money clip, but they're really cool. He has a Barrett one, an AK.
I know I'm supposed to like AK ones or whatever, but the Uzi one is sweet.
Yeah, I have the Uzi one. I have the Uzi, the AK, and the AR. I'm not a fan of Barretts in general, but he has a Barrett one too. So if you're into the big bore stuff, he has one of those.
What's the name of that again?
It's not a game. It's a site.
Now, what's the name of it again? Sorry.
Hollow South. So, and he has a bunch of cool stuff. Like he has like gun sheets, a gun shower curtain. He had just random stuff. He has like he had AK-47 ice cube trays on there.
I need that shower curtain.
Yeah. I need me a gun robe. Someone needs to make that. So he has a bunch of just, random, I guess, casual things that are firearm related. I think he has that are used in like drinking whiskey as ice coolers too. So if you get a chance, check him out. He's got great pricing, good friend, good peoples, and he has great products out there just for the random, gun enthusiast.
We might be able to use this portion of the show or newsletter or whatever we're calling this to let people know about products that have been sent out for review as well. I know that some of you guys get products occasionally from manufacturers or whoever to test out, and again, we want to give them as much coverage as we can, so we can use this as a venue for that as well.
And let me just start that one off since you brought that up, because I did get a product, and I've done a video, but these guys are just, well, it was actually a lady, super nice, Nancy Stevenson, or Stevens, I remember right off. She's from Tough Products. It's a buttstock saddle. Super neat product. Just phenomenal. So check out Tough Products. Great people, great customer service.
As well as Streamlight. Been fortunate to receive some products from Streamlight to review. I got a review coming out on the TLR2 HLG green laser for a weapons light, as well as their new latest ProTac. What was it? ProTac HL USB. They can actually be charged by USB connection, like the thing that charges your phone if you're an Android user. And same connection charges that light up. Real sweet, 830 lumens, and also TrueGlow TFX sites. I'll have reviews coming out on that stuff, and really nice some products over to review and test.
Well, either the internet just shut down, or people really didn't want to hear about this last section of the show because we just went down to 3 viewers. So I'm seeing some feedback on the Gun Channel side that it's lagging for people. So it looks like it's coming back up again. It must have died for everyone, so we'll just kind of tread water here. But for the people that are listening in the future on the podcast, this will be a great time to talk to you since everybody live just dropped out. I think hopefully not of their own free will. But if you are listening in the future to this show or any of our other shows on the iTunes or the Stitcher Radio, please give us some feedback and give us a little thumbs up or the plus signs or whatever they are. And like I say, the feedback is more important, though, because then we have some idea of which way to steer these shows, which ones you're interested in. We'd post a lot of shows from lots of different hosts and on all different kinds of topics. So giving us the feedback is really the best way to know what y'all are interested in out there. We're not getting any of our viewers back, so I'm going to assume either they just got really sick of us or there's some kind of technical thing going. What else is there, guys? The whole idea of this, like I say, was to kind of get together and start doing a show that we start doing consistently to help focus people on the important firearm stuff or the interesting firearm stuff, throughout, because of all the noise that's out there. And like I say, I'm all about getting input. So if you guys can think of anything, throw it out here now, or in the next week. Keep it in the back of your mind, and we'll try this again in about a week or so. Well, we will try this again in a week.
Well, I think Glock introducing those gray Glocks is kind of big. I mean,
yeah, it was a big one. We should have mentioned that.
Yeah. It is a limited run from Lipsy, so it's not like it's going to be around forever. So if you happen to...
They're not gray, though.
Well, they have green, too. But they'll probably come back. But then again, they do come in limited runs. So if you've been waiting for a gray Glock and you happen to come across one, I'd say pick it up, snatch it up. And they're only in Gen 4s currently. So. But yeah, I got a survey a while back from Glock asking about colors. So I filled out that survey, and I was wondering when they were going to actually decide on a new color for a frame, and that's what they decided on. I was very happy.
What colors were on the option?
It was like pink, khaki instead of the FDE. I forget what other colors, but it was so long ago. It was like a year and a half ago they did that survey.
I'm going to scribbled it all out and put OD green.
Yeah, I mean, they should definitely do another run of those.
Well, I guess we had first successful test of ITAR, so thanks for everybody who jumped back in. We're back up to 20 and growing. Looks like even though ITAR happened, we didn't talk enough about, I guess, international secrets to get shut down permanently.
And IG is still up and running with gun picks.
Oh yeah, that was an interesting thing. So I guess when did we start talking about that? In the lobby or something? But I guess, yeah, that has been a sort of a theme this last week, was the whole potential that ITAR regulations are going to shut down pictures of guns on Instagram. And what was the call to sign that White House petition?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wish DB was here to set us straight on White House petitions, but I think we all know how he feels.
Yep.
So we don't even have Yankee here to tell us our opinions on this, but that's exactly the kind of thing let's talk about in this kind of thing. And although we're wrapping it up now, yeah, that was exactly the kind of thing. So that we'll put that in the newsletter, and well, I think it's interesting to do this kind of stuff because it kind of seems to me like we see this stuff over and over, like the ITAR thing. When it was brought up, was it in the beginning of your chat, Stone? So remember, like, you were saying, what is this? What's going on? And then once we told you it was ITAR, you're like, oh, yeah, that was weeks ago or whatever, months ago. You know, it's like these things resurface, and, you know, is it because we don't pay attention or because there's so much noise that we just keep hearing it and, you know, it's trying to differentiate it? So
I really think it was a distraction from something else, or just something to keep us distracted, because it turned out to be nothing.
I hear you, but I mean, I don't want to disregard or suggest that it's never them out to get us, but we do ourselves a disservice if we allow ourselves to feel like it's always them who are out to get us too, right? So sometimes there's going to be a weird echo in the matrix or some sort of, you know, what's that telephone game? You tell somebody, and eventually it's going to come back around. You know, it goes all through Facebook, and then it comes up in Instagram, and then it's going to be in YouTube. But again, hopefully by some of us paying attention to this from the bird's eye view, maybe we'll see some of these trends, and maybe we'll be able to see something that we didn't know from this angle we see it. So hopefully we'll do some good here, and if nothing else, we'll entertain ourselves once a week. Like I say, I'm trying to do something new here too, because this will become a thing that people can have printed out or in their email, right? It'll go through our newsletter system, and we'll probably talk about newsletters in an upcoming episode of Gun Channels University because they are kind of interesting. And I'm curious because I've got some clients who have like hundreds and hundreds of people on their newsletter list, and then I've got other clients who, you know, to use it, it's a lot more interesting, but they have fewer people. So we just started the Gun Channels one, but it's on a system that can handle like as much as you want to throw at it. And like I say, maybe we'll have a future chat just about newsletters. But since this is the beginning of one, I'm kind of looking at it as a blank canvas. So we'll give it that little bit of a structure now, and we'll let that structure develop as the group and as the dynamic changes. I guess with the architecture in such a way that as the internet and trends and tastes and fads and stuff change, the newsletter itself can follow with it, because if at some point, you know, YouTube's going to be old when we're all using some sort of weird 3D hologram wrist bracelet or something, right? So if we build something now that can deal with all that, it might be interesting to see 10 years from now where we are. Anyway, we've got to start somewhere, so that's what we're doing. So next week we'll take the next step on this journey. Hopefully people keep this new project or whatever we're calling it in mind and come up with ways to develop it into something neat and new, and like I say, a little bit more interactive, or at least differently interactive than other projects we've done before. I don't know, sick of saying stuff, so at the end I guess this will be the end of it. Thanks everybody for showing up even through the ITAR/Al Gore taking over the internet issue technically there. Again, anybody listening on the podcast, give us some feedback. Anybody who's interested in supporting this stuff, go over to Gun Channels, check it out, enjoy it. If you really like it, consider being a paid member, which just means you pay $12 a year to help keep the place running, and for that you get a patch and the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping the world. So thanks you guys for joining us live here, and for people that are listening live, and we'll see you in about a week.